Good morning. Sunday, August 2nd already. I set my tripod up with this angle showing Main Street, Stormy's, the Mason Lodge, Oddfellows Lodge, currently the Fire Hall Community Club. This is kind of the classic angle that most of the early photographs were taken of the hotel and somewhat of the Mason Lodge. Fortunately, I don't have a dedicated photo of the pre-1906 Mason Lodge. Just kind of a accidental glimpse of the front of the old lodge as a result of somebody taking yet another photo of Oliver Lefever's big valley house that was here in the pre-1894 fire. And then, of course, Lefever's Hotel after it was rebuilt a year later. Sometimes, I just in the calm of the morning, especially Sunday morning when there's not much traffic, I like just to stand in the middle of the road and imagine the places that used to be here and how different it would have been and how exciting it must have been for people who probably felt alone often out in the country and perhaps vulnerable to have a town like this where there's civilization, a place to stay, a place to eat, such as a Big Valley House, a store, General Washington operating the store on the ground floor of the Mason Lodge, and the Palmer's Tent Shop on the other side, and then the Oddfellows building after it was built in 1880. And it must have just seemed grand. And the model store that would have been located just behind where the tripod is sitting, in a town with a post office, livery stable right across the street from the hotel, Valancourt Stillwell's meat market, kitty corner to the Oddfellows building. About 7 a.m. on Sunday. I've got 4 buckets of water already put down on the trees. I brought some metal stakes to add to the trees in the back, and I'm gonna get those installed for good support. Looks like Ricky's coming by to take a little chat, so I'll pause this for now. All right, that was a nice chat with Ricky. Like what's it probably been 4 weeks ago or so, he stopped by the cemetery. I When I did a memorial profile of his grandparents, he came up to the cemetery because he wanted to ask me some questions about some of my research on his grandparents, because he was traveling back to his grandfather's birthplace, um, Switzerland, and going to research the family history and try to find the birthplace of his grandpa. So I gave him the information that I had, and the town that his grandfather was from was actually pretty small, and it had a church in the center of it. So I was really confident that he was going to find everything he was looking for, and he just stopped by to say that he was able to find everything, and that he would have liked to have stayed, and kind of wonders why his grandfather ever chose to leave to come to America. So I'm happy for them. That's really neat to find out your family history and stand in the place of one's ancestors. I can really relate and appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to install some metal stakes to support the trees in the back. And the glare is kind of tough at the moment. The morning sun streaming right down, but I get these metal stakes at Tractor Supply. They're pretty reasonable, about $7 each. They have an eye-appealing color, and they're plenty tall enough to do the job and sturdy enough. I have them on the 3 trees in the front here because they're still pretty delicate trees, and the wind can mess them up. Dale's on his way out here. I asked him to bring a broom because I forgot. On some of the business end of the cemetery, I have shirts. I've been struggling with the price point as to what to charge. You know, I want to be reasonable, and our price point on the purchase is around $26 each. So I was thinking if I sell them for $40 each, which seems a little high to me, but the cemetery would then benefit, you know, by the time they're mailed out, let's say about $10 a unit, which is not much. Obviously, if I'm selling thousands of them, great. And I'm only having like 2 dozen created at any one time. If I were doing a lot more, a higher quantity, I could get the price point down by maybe a couple dollars at the most if I was doing like 100. But this here is like, this is called Orchid, and it's a tri-blend, almost semi-heather. And this one here, this blue one, is heather. I forget the name of this one in terms of the blue color. Anyway, so I need to get these listed on the Facebook page, and then some point I'm sure that I will entertain the idea of talking about Bluefield history here in town, a history night of sorts, of which I will have plenty of these there so people can contribute to the cemetery. And I figure that would be a great place um, to have these placed, and people would probably enjoy contributing and receiving a memento of the wonderful cemetery up on the hill. So think about some shirts. I already put down some water, so the ground around them is kind of soft. I don't have a ladder. And that Let's all wish Ed well on this one. We don't need anybody crashing and burning. Okay. Oh, don't try this at home. Oh, sweet. Okay. You know what? That's just going to have to do. I'm grateful that people did not steal my strap. Hmm. You know, it's not an easy thing trying to monitorize a Victorian era cemetery. You know, most all the families are gone. Some, you know, moved out of the way or didn't even know that they had folks there because it's that old and that detached. But the folks who do know, I mean, they have been generous. So we got the wood, we got the shirts, we sell an occasional plot. No one's going to pay us for tours. YouTube would pay money if I had like 100,000 followers and hundreds of thousands of viewing hours. But it's a small market. Unless we have a Kardashian come to visit someday, huh? Yeah, I think once people found out about it, they'd probably be interested in some of the developments and the history and the progress and stuff like that. And yet, we don't want to hurt it with attention. Town of Bloomfield can only handle so much. I do think I'm about to have a history night. History night, you know, talk about history. Yeah, last time we did it was for the community club. This time it would be for the cemetery. That's resetting the perimeter, that buffer zone between the fence and this jungle off to the south. After Dale went through and got 2 bowls of blackberries picked before. Dale's currently mowing around the Mason Lodge. He already hit the parking lot down where the construction sign is. So when we're tending to the bell towers, it's not much additional effort to go ahead and hit around the Mason Lodge, trim it up, blow everything off to make it look clean and cared for. Right now, the Mason Lodge isn't being used for much of anything. The membership dropped so low that I guess the Petaluma chapter is taking over this one. So I'm hoping that it's always going to be a presence in town and that they don't change the function of this building unless they want to donate to the cemetery. Here's a look at the cemetery today. You see the construction crew, they're repaving the roads in town, so they positioned a sign, electronic sign up here for the time being. Cemetery is quite dry. Dale's over there mowing some of the side lanes. Trees all looking great. Beautiful blue sky up here today and just a whisper of wind. Hopefully enough just to kind of keep us cool. Plan today to mow and trim, get things tidied up, and do a little work on our maintenance shed area so we can start working, getting the building and the irrigation underway. Hopefully not too warm today. I guess we'll take low 80s if we have to, but we're going to get pretty dirty. All that times thousands of piles. Yeah, we're going to be pretty filthy towards the end of the day. All right, I'm going to get started. I'm here working on the back side of the cemetery. I'm elevating my voice because my speaker on the phone not so good and I don't have my mic. So I wanted to show, this is an area that's been kept pretty wild ever since we can recall. It's the west side of the cemetery, pretty steep hill,
difficult to work and manage, but we're determined to see it through. And our game plan has been to mow back here, get all this clear, and mow, keep the landscape clean, tight, so we can discover differences in the terrain, like this spot right here. What we have here is one, maybe two grave sites that are sunken just enough to be a clear indication of something here. There's no markers, and until we get everything clean and can start pulling lines in order to determine the distance between different rows. But all we have to go on right now is the fact that we have a depression that lines up with what would be the next row at the cemetery. So that's why it's important for us to not disturb the ground. We can go ahead and keep everything trimmed down, but we don't want to disturb the actual dirt and rock and the terrain, because we're going to utilize spots like this to help us line things up. And I trust that there will be more of such depressions within this once we get it cleared out. And we can start pulling lines as to where people are buried. This is part of what we would consider to be the Potter's Field on the back side of the cemetery.